Hello, I'm Philip Stoten. I'm here at Productronica 2019 and I'm on the Scoop studio for our first roundtable of the day on the topic of connectivity and really developing the idea that connectivity is this key enabler for Industry 4.0. It's the foundation. I'm going to start with you, Greg. Just give me a kind of an overview of where you see that connectivity debate, whether it's the fear of getting that digital transformation that's slowing down the adoption of Industry 4.0 and where that's taking us.
Yeah, I don't know if it's sort of the fear at this point. I mean, at this point, the major stumbling block is really just figuring out how to get the data off of this sort of disparate set of equipment that we have in the industry. And so, basically, the strategy that we at Cogiscan have taken has been to essentially work with, whichever sort of formats and protocols that the customers prefer, and then work with the machine vendors to connect and get the data in whatever format that they're able to, and basically, provide the data to the customers that way.
Yeah. And Ranjan, when I've talked to you in the past, we've talked about this idea of making connectivity simple, actually getting people over that hurdle so they can build the layers on top of that. Is that something you see as being kind of one of the key gateways to getting to the next stage?
Yeah, I think getting there would be a key part in getting smart factories done. So in order to have smart factories, you need smart machines and you need smart connectivity. So getting that done helps do the integration quickly, cheaply, and effectively. And I think that's what everybody wants to get to, where you don't get stuck in the integration layer and never move up.
And Michael, when you look at that integration layer, that should be something that's been done a while ago, and we still seem to be stumbling at that. Do you think there's a reason for that? And are we kind of on the cusp? Is 2020 a year where we're going to be able to deploy this stuff and really get value?
I think I developed my first machine interface back in 1980 whatever, and it's been so disappointing, over the years that we've continued to have these bespoke kind of technologies. It's been a huge barrier to people who come along with some brilliant ideas for how systems and software can be using data to create benefit within the factory. And to be honest, people have almost given up. They kind of said, well, it's a great idea, but it's never going to happen. Let's go back to basics and understand how to run the machines. And the big part of that hurdle has been the trust in the ability to get the data from the machines and incorporating people in that equation as well, find out what they're doing. And I really, truly believe that, one way or another now, we have made that connection. We have made this almost like something that is available off the shelf. It's a commodity now. It's not something you need to take care of anymore. We don't need to argue about it anymore. There are various ways of getting that data. The emphasis now is let's reinvent those ideas that we've had, look at it from the customer perspective, finally, and work out what is going to work for factories looking to differentiate themselves, looking to cope with changes in the economies globally with taxes and tariffs, being able to provide traceability without a burden of the cost. These are the conversations that now are happening on the basis of trust that the layer of communication is available.
So just to go back, Michael, it seems that you developed your first machine interface when you were a schoolboy, so that's interesting. Let's roll with that. Ranjan, interestingly, Michael bringing up in his experience, I wanted to bring up your experience from the semiconductor industry because I feel we can learn a bit from them. I know when you were working with Dan at Motorola, you were connecting thousands of machines to a dashboard in the US, and that was a global activity. Tell me about that, and tell me how that's influenced your view of where we should be going in the SMT world.
We were integrated with various divisions, right? So we had semiconductor, automotive, cell phone, pagers. So at the time, the most investment and most sophisticated part of our business was semiconductor. So we kind of took that technology and deployed it in the rest of the corporation. And that helped make it cheaper and faster and stuff. So that's what we did for 24 factories all over the world. That's a very good way to look at it, where our goal was to get to the application where we do OEE and monitor factories and get the ROI. Connectivity was a given, right? Because we just took what was working and just deployed it across the corporation. And that's what I think most people will start doing now, because a lot of the bigger corporations in the world now are software companies like Apple and Google and stuff. So they know how to do this. Connectivity is their lifeblood. So when somebody says they can't do this in manufacturing, I don't think they're going to wait.
Yeah, then they're not going to accept that. And one of the things that you talk about that I think is also important is this idea of being able to do it quickly, being able to do it efficiently, and being able to do it cheaply. If you're a Flex or a Jabil, you've got thousands of lines, you've got tens of thousands of pieces of equipment, and they're from all different vendors.
Yes, it has to be done in a very efficient and very cost-effective way, because otherwise you can't connect thousands of machines, and you have an installed base, so you need to take care of that. It can't be just new machines. So how do you do that in hundreds of dollars instead of thousands and tens of thousands?
Yeah, and Greg, what we've learned from customers is they're not just burning down factories and building new Industry 4.0 ones. You've got to connect the existing equipment. Where are you seeing this debate from a customer point of view? When they come to you, do they care about connectivity, or do they just want machines plugged in to the connectivity standard in the same way they want them plugged into the mains for power?
Well, I mean, I think they certainly care about connectivity in the sense that they want the data one way or another, right? They'll have kind of their own, depending on the systems that they have, the enterprise systems that they have in the factory, they'll have sort of their own preferences in terms of how that data is provided. But of course, the challenge, as you said, I mean, we've got tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of machines out there, all that sort of have different abilities of communicating, different ways of communicating, and so the challenge is to basically sort of figure out a way to plug into all of those different machines and get the data out in a single format that the customer can make use of. Yeah.
Michael, let's roll forward to a utopian world. So last question for everybody. Our vision for 2020, connectivity is given as something that just happens. Let's assume everybody's got a digitized manufacturing environment or ecosystem at the beginning of the year. What can we achieve? What can we start to build on top of that really solid foundation? And what does that mean to both the EMS and their customers?
We have to remember that there are two components for the data collection. I mean, we need to get the data out of the machines, from the machines natively, everything comes out, that's right. We then need to build the context. The context understands, okay, what were we intending to build, how we were building it, where we were building it, etc. I'm talking about stuff that we've been doing for many, many years, but we've been doing it by people. So people who are involved in factories today, they have a lot of experience and know-how. They know what works, they know what doesn't work. The problem is that they're only human, and they're being faced today with a high mix of production, very fast and volatile orders from customers. They can no longer do it by themselves. So what we need to deliver as an industry now is to say, here are the tools that you need to do your job. Nothing fantastically amazing that you're not going to trust, but this is what you've been doing, but we're going to help you do it. We're going to bring more information to you. We're going to help you make those decisions. We're going to make you able to run smart, faster factories with your mind based on the information that we've brought and displayed to you. Okay, some small decisions we're going to make for you because you don't really care anymore when a material replenishment comes. You just want it to happen. And we then start to build higher and higher and higher levels of intelligence based on that one data set to do so many different applications. And so we're going to see that happening very rapidly in 2020.
Well, that's exciting to hear. And Ranjan, you look at those kind of layers of intelligence that you're building on top of that. And one of the fundamentals to those layers is the digital twin. How do you see that developing, and how do you see your 2020 vision of what a digitized industry looks like?
So I think the more we collect the data and analyze it, then the last step would be to act on it, right? So right now, I think very few people have enough data to make a intelligent enough decision that they can act on it. So having like closed loop control from the inspection to placement to this, right now it's not a given. I think in the next step, those would be given, right? Where machine learning on the machine at the AOI is being used for controlling something upstream and downstream, and then tying it all the way back to test and other manual stations, so that you have a quality view that is across the whole line. Because right now it's very kind of siloed between the front end and the back end and the test. So having that view is important for digital twin, because you don't have a digital twin, you have like a half digital twin otherwise.
Okay, so you have a non-identical twin, which is a bit worrying in this particular instance. Greg, you have the lucky position of having the final word, so whatever you say, nobody can argue with you. Tell me a bit about your vision for 2020 in this utopian digitized world.
I guess my vision would be, I think at Cogiscan our philosophy is sort of that with something so big as Industry 4.0 or the industrial Internet of Things, no one company is going to be able to be good at everything and do everything well. So I think what we're going to see is a lot more sort of collaboration, partnerships between sort of best-in-class companies to provide the solutions that need to come together and provide value to the customer. And that basically would be my vision for how things are going to evolve in 2020.
Yeah, so we have a vision of a connected world in terms of the equipment, but a connected world in terms of companies and people, all with the same desire, which is to create better outcomes for our customers. Exactly. Lovely thought to finish this session on. Gentlemen, thanks so much for your time. Thank you.